The movie begins in Madrid in the year 1991 when the police receive an emergency phone call at Sunday midnight. As soon as the police reach the address, the lead detective sees a worried middle-aged woman running towards two scared children in the pouring rain. The team of detectives get into the house to rescue two more children upstairs, but when they get there, they witness the most horrifying scene ever. 3 days earlier, on Thursday morning, we see a responsible sister named Eldest who gets up to help her siblings get ready for school. She first wakes up her third sibling, named Trace, to take a shower, and then opens the curtains to wake up her second sibling, named Dos. Finally, she wakes up the youngest one of them all, named Quattro. As the siblings eat breakfast together, Dos asks Eldest to bring negative pictures from the room so she can use them to look at the eclipse as a class project. Eldest then goes to her mother's room to get Dos's class project, but she suddenly stops when she holds her dead father's photo. Her half-awake mother asks if she's okay, and she says yes. Later at school, Eldest is in class when her nun instructor teaches the class about how some primitive cultures believe the solar eclipse is a good time for human sacrifices. Eldest's friend, nicknamed Curly, asks her if she has the Ouija board with her. Eldest says that the board is with her. While the teacher is still talking about different beliefs, the bell rings, which is the signal for students and teachers to go witness the eclipse. Meanwhile, Eldest, Curly, and Blondie sneak out of the eclipse viewing event. It turns out that they are planning to use the Ouija board to summon the spirit of Eldest's father during the eclipse. The three of them head down to the dirty basement of the school. Curly asks Blondie if she has ever done a seance before, but Blondie explains she used paper cutouts, not an official board. Eldest then brings out an occult book and her father's photo, which she plans to use to connect with her father's spirit. As the girls begin summoning the spirit, the moon starts to get in between the sun. They ask if there's anyone with them, and the glass begins to move itself, indicating that there is a spirit around. So they ask if the spirit wants to talk to Eldest. The other two also want to confirm if it's her father, so they ask again who it is. As the partial contact of the eclipse starts, the glass moves once again. The three of them feel the shiver, but they shrug it off and blame one another for moving the glass to scare them all. However, the glass starts moving again, and this time it moves rapidly. Suddenly, the glass stops at the center and it burns the index finger of Curly and Blondie at the same time as the second contact of the eclipse surrounds the sky. Strangely enough, the board leaves Eldest untouched and seems out of herself. The eclipse continues its third contact and the glass breaks, which makes Curly and Blondie scream out of fear. On the other hand, Eldest's index finger bleeds at the sun symbol on the Ouija board, and then the board suddenly breaks. Because of all the panic, Curly accidentally kicks the candle, which puts the three of them in darkness. They quickly turn on their flashlights, only to find Eldest lying on the floor, unconscious, and saying something rapidly. Then she screams at the top of her lungs. Later that day, after fainting in the basement, Eldest ends up in the school's medical office. The nurse concludes that since Eldest hasn't had her period yet, she probably fainted because she's iron deficient. Then, Eldest heads towards the school exit to go home with her siblings. But on their way, Trace notices a blind nun looking at Eldest through the upstairs window. Once the kids reach their house, the paranormal events officially start. Eldest goes directly to her room and notices a burn on the outside of her bag. She then takes out the broken board from her bag and closes it before placing it on top of the cabinet. But when she's about to head outside of her room, her bag mysteriously drops to the floor, which shocks her. Eldest then decides to hide her bag below her bed. Shortly after, Quattro and Dos notice Eldest's all frozen up as she tries to eat with them. Dos then talks to Trace over a walkie-talkie to come to the kitchen. Thanks to the terrified Dos, who accidentally spills milk on the floor, eldest comes back to her senses and then wipes her mouth. Later, she finds a mysterious bruise on her shoulder as she washes her towel in the bedroom. Her confusion is interrupted when she hears the telephone ring. It turns out that it's Curly postponing their hangout because she's with her mother. Eldest tries to call again, only to find out Curly is lying to her and currently hanging out with Blondie. Hours later, eldest bathes Quattro and jams their favorite song, Centella. She then hears a loud crash outside the bathroom and thinks it's because of Dos and Trace playing in the hallway. The sound gets louder and louder, so eldest steps outside to check. It turns out that the noise is coming from her bedroom, not from the two younger siblings. Eldest comes to her room to check and hears Quattro's screams, but suddenly her bedroom door closes. As soon as it opens, she finds out that Quattro got burnt in the bathtub because of strange hot water coming from the faucet. Eldest rubs an ointment to her brother's burns, still confused about everything that's happening at home. Later, she comes to wash the dishes and notices a glass in the sink. Just when she's about to put her index finger on top of it, Centella creepily starts playing on their television. Anxious, eldest slowly approaches the TV to turn it off. Little did she know, the unseen creature was silently following and watching her every move. Eventually, eldest goes back to her bedroom, then moves her bag inside the cabinet. Strangely though, she wakes up suddenly in the middle of the night, noticing her cabinet's mirrored door closing slowly. She then bravely checks what's inside, and she finds both Dos and Trace curling up in fear. Seconds later, eldest hears someone calling her name. It's her dead father, naked and slowly approaching her. She responds as she backs up, asking if it's actually her father. Unfortunately for her, monstrous burned arms forcefully pull her towards her bed. At this point, her father's body starts to change into an evil spirit, reaching into her wide-opened mouth. Eldest wakes up on Friday morning and realizes that it was just a nightmare, but she wakes up afraid and panting. She goes to school, and a class discussion about a story is coming to an end when her teacher says that no one escapes the consequences of passing the limit that separates reality from fantasy. During class, however, eldest is disheartened to see that both Curly and Blondie are excluding her from their regular paper crumbling routine, so she asks the teacher if she may go out. With her fresh, spine-chilling memories from yesterday, she goes back to the basement where the girls did their spirit-calling routine. To her surprise, the blind nun suddenly appears from the corner and starts talking. She tells eldest a metaphor of ready-made French toast as the evil spirit who answered her call. Then, the nun looks at a photo of eldest's father and immediately senses that it's not her father who responded to the calling, but an evil spirit. The nun then alerts eldest to protect her siblings because the evil spirit now walks with her. Later, eldest confronts Curly and asks if she's mad at her. Curly says no and explains that she's ignoring eldest because of the strange incident during the seance. Now aware of the devil walking with her, eldest draws a symbol of protection on several papers and tapes them around the house once she gets home. Later in the evening, eldest hears a voice from Dos over the walkie-talkie saying that she should not let the spirit hurt them since she was the one who summoned the devil. But when eldest sees their toy lights up red and blue, she suddenly finds out that Dos and Trace are fast asleep. However, when she turns her back, she notices a shadow through the wall that quickly chokes Dos. The devil suddenly disappears, and eldest shakes Dos until she wakes up. Eldest then explains to her confused siblings that there's someone inside the house wanting to hurt them. Shortly after, eldest gathers her siblings in the living room to sleep together so she can protect them from the devil. When she wakes up from her quick nap, she slowly walks through the hallway and catches a sight of the evil spirit. As the silhouette nears the door, Dos and Trace, trembling with fear, nervously ask her what's wrong. Eldest raises the cross, only to find out it's her mother, who at this time gets confused about what her daughter is doing. Dos and Trace hurriedly run toward their mother, sharing about the spirit and fear they feel with Eldest's encounters. After that, their mother visits Eldest in her room and asks her what's happening. Eldest then tells her everything about the Ouija board and how she accidentally summoned the devil. Her mother asks why she did it, so Eldest explains that she just wanted to talk with her father. Their mother then shrugs it off, insisting she reads too much occult stuff. When Eldest goes to sleep, she has another nightmare. This time, Dos and Trace jump on her bed, so she groggily shouts at them to leave her alone. Then, she screams at the top of her lungs while Dos and Trace start biting and chewing on both of her arms while Quattro jumps on top of her. Their mother eerily utters her desire to make Eldest have her menstrual period, and then a strange blast of blood comes between her upper legs. Her screams get louder and louder until she wakes up, chasing her breath. It's now Saturday morning, and Eldest wakes up to find blood on her pajamas and mattress foam. She proceeds to look under her mattress and finds a burnt mark on it. Shortly after, she notices a book in Quattro's hand, and Quattro says that their father reads it with him and will come back again to take him where he lives. Eldest warns Quattro that he needs to plug his ears and repeatedly shout for her name if the creature comes back. Worried for her family, Eldest checks everyone's mattresses one by one and sees the different positions of burnt marks. Although it's Saturday, Eldest goes back to the school basement and seeks an answer from the nun. She asks how to stop it, but the nun tells her that God has nothing to do with it, so crosses and amulets will not work. Eldest needs to do the same ritual as when the spirit came, and then she needs to destroy the spirit's pathway. On her way home, Eldest stops by a swing to read more about the ritual. In her occult book, it says that she has to do right what she did wrong and never end the seance with a goodbye, or the spirit will stay with her forever. This means that she needs to do the ritual again to open up the pathway for the devil to go back where it came from. After knowing the possible solution, Eldest runs to Curly and Blondie's party to ask for their help in doing the seance again. However, Curly and Blondie refuse, and Curly tells Eldest about the thing she was uncontrollably uttering back on Thursday. Eldest is going to die today. The world seems to collapse on Eldest's shoulders when she realizes there's no turning back. Then she goes to her mother's diner to ask if she can close her shop early and be with the kids instead. The busy mother refuses because of the hectic restaurant and promises to take all the kids to the park tomorrow. It starts raining heavily that night as Eldest comes up with a plan to do the ritual again, this time with Dos and Trace. Meanwhile, Quattro's task is to draw the protection symbols on the walls. But since Quattro is just a kid, he outlines the wrong protection symbols, making them ineffective. Soon after, Eldest leads the seance, following the instructions of the occult book. They first ask if the spirit is here, and the glass moves into yes. Eldest does not obey the nun's advice and exclaims that they are here to say goodbye to the spirit because it needs to leave this place, but the glass moves into no. She then loudly commands the spirit to leave out of there, while she also instructs Dos and Trace to repeat her command. Eldest rereads the book and figures out they need to sing a mantra to conclude the seance properly. The three sing Centella, and as the ominous feeling creeps in, their mantra goes to a lower volume, and Eldest asks her siblings to keep going. Suddenly, one of their doors slowly closes, and then loud bangings echo through the house. Dos and Trace cannot continue to sing because of how scared they are. At this point, the door bursts open, the candles go off, and the Ouija board breaks. Seconds later, the glass rolls outside the door, so Eldest slowly follows it. The glass knocks on her bedroom door and then leads her to the mattress. Eldest switches on her flashlight and inspects the burnt foam. Only for the creature to grip her hand from inside. Eldest escapes and quickly runs into the hallway while the lights blast off. She manages to reunite with her siblings and calls for emergency help. As Eldest cries for aid from the police, she catches a glimpse of the innocent Quattro heading to the door and eventually yanked by the burnt monster. She then frantically follows Quattro to the bathroom. Because of all the chaos and blackout, Eldest accidentally trips and loses consciousness. Shortly after, she wakes up still in the toilet and finds Quattro beside her. She immediately carries her brother and tells her sister to run downstairs fast as the devil keeps lingering around them. Meanwhile, whilst working at the diner, their mother notices a line of police cars heading to their place, so she hurriedly runs outside. When the siblings are about to get out of the house, only Dos and Trace can make it. Suddenly, Eldest realizes the devil is playing with her mind because Quattro is not in her arms. Eldest heads back inside to find Quattro, ignoring all the breaking things along her path. She spots him in the bathtub, but the evil shadow pulls Quattro to his feet and then closes the curtains. She tries to approach it, but the shadow slaps her, making her crash against the mirror. Meanwhile, Quattro runs out of the bathroom to hide in her bedroom. As soon as Eldest recovers, the evil creature possesses her body. She slowly goes to her bedroom to find Quattro as the evil shadow walks through the wall and opens her cabinet, revealing Quattro inside. Her possessed body tries to call Quattro, but Quattro knows it's not her sister, so he continues to plug his ears and then repeatedly calls for her. Eldest then faces a mirror where her true self cries for their life and learns that she became the creature's pathway by using her body to hurt her sibling. It turns out that she was the one who choked Dos in her sleep, and she was also the one who put hot water into Quattro's bathwater to injure him. Now, the devil is trying to use her to kill Quattro. To save Quattro's life, she attempts to slit her own throat to stop the devil from controlling her, but the devil prevents her from killing herself. The beast then catches her body and puts its arm on her mouth, choking her. It is already Sunday midnight by now, and we go back to the opening scene of the movie. The detective and his team enter the house and witness a horrifying scene of the eldest screaming in pain as her body strangely warps while struggling mid-air and abruptly falls. Shortly after, they notice Quattro in the cabinet and they successfully rescue him. Meanwhile, the police call the medical team to rescue Eldest, who passes out on the ground. Outside, the mother waits for Eldest and cries while she is in a horrifying condition. The detective investigates the scene inside the house and finds a photo of Eldest. He tries to touch it, but it's hot and it slowly starts to burn. Since Eldest became the evil creature's door, her photo ceases to exist in the world. Once the police declare her dead, the electricity suddenly comes back on. After that, the lead detective writes about the entire incident and certified having witnessed the first paranormal police case in Spain. In the end, the story still remains a mystery, completely unexplainable up to this day. The moral of the story is to not get involved in rituals that you don't know much about. If you are not careful, you might end up getting possessed by an evil spirit without even knowing.